What's the biggest rookie mistake in sales? Working really hard to get to the point of being able to ask for the sale and then blowing it with a one-dimensional pitch. You're listening to Idea Charger Radio. Hey there, Success Chargers, and welcome back to episode 16 of the program. Certainly glad you're with us here this week. Hey, last week we got into an interesting discussion about how you could build up your level of service to attract buyers into your business. And remember, we told you not everybody's in sales, but really everybody is in sales, if you stop and think about it. Today we're going to take this a step further. I want to step just one more. Let's just go one more step ahead today as we take a look at your business. Now, this is the time of the year. Again, we've been saying this for a few weeks now, that you're probably looking at how the last 12 months has really shaped up for you. We've got about 5 weeks left in the year. And if you're listening to this when it first posted up, and you're probably looking at things winding down, right? It's almost Thanksgiving here in the U.S. You're looking at maybe thinking what the holiday is going to be like. You've probably got some year-end work to be done and a little vacation time you're trying to squeeze in if you're fortunate enough to have some left at this point. So let's take a look at what you can do to get the most out of this. If you think about a lot of people in sales positions, oftentimes there's a tremendous amount of pressure to get more sales. And the hardest part sometimes is just getting in the door. And I can think back to some of my own personal experiences, and perhaps you've had those as well, that when you played the tape back afterwards, you realized that you worked so hard to get in the door that you weren't fully prepared for where the conversation might go once you got inside. And what happened was that you worked so hard to get there that you stepped in the door and you were so happy to finally be in front of your prospect that you virtually vomited everything you could offer them at one shot on their desk, and you completely overwhelmed them. So then what? Well, you probably came back and you decided you better refine your message. So you went out on the next sales call, and this time you stepped in and you worked hard. You finally got in the door and you decided you were going to take laser focus and just offer one thing. And it turned out to be not exactly what they wanted at that one point in time either, only to find out later that there was something else if you had offered it, they might have gotten there. Thus, the one-dimensional pitch. The scene that really comes to mind from one of my favorite movies is from the original Wall Street movie, where Bud Fox tries again and again and again to try to get into the office to see Gordon Gekko. He's the whale. He's the big guy. If he can land this guy as his brokerage client, he's set on Wall Street. And Bud does whatever he can. He calls every day to talk to Gekko's assistant. He gets to know her. He finds out when her birthday is. And then finally one day on Gekko's birthday, he shows up with a box of Cuban cigars and he sits literally all day in the waiting room of his office before finally being let in, only to darn near blow his opportunity when he walks in the door. What ensues is a very nefarious relationship that, if you haven't seen this movie by now, well, pull it up on Netflix. You got to see it. Watch the original. Not so crazy about the second one, but watch the original. And the lesson in that is that you can't just go in with a one-dimensional approach. It can't be so much about getting over the fence or through the door or into their office that you don't go in with something of value. Now, oftentimes people will say no, okay? Anytime you pitch them a product or a service. And sometimes that no, if you listen actively, is really, it's not no forever. It's just not right now. So what I'd like for you to do is I want you to start thinking about something differently. I want you to think about how you can position your proposals, your ideas, craft your pitch to have multiple levels for engagement. Now, what do I mean by that? All right, it's very simple. I want you to think about what we talked about in the last episode. And if you haven't heard episode 15, go back and load that one up, because we talk about building value. So is there something you can offer of value? And oftentimes there is. Could you package some of your products together so it's not, hey, I want to get just this one service from you. It's, how do I get to do lots of service from you? Because what you're really trying to sell them is working with you. Now, it doesn't matter if you're in a company or if you're out on your own or you're somewhere in between. The trick is to make sure that people know how to do business with you. So let's think about this. Let's say you're in a service-oriented industry. You provide something that's not necessarily a tangible product. It's something that creates real results, but maybe you can't just put your hands on it. Those services can be tough to pitch sometimes, and people tend to get caught up in this crazy notion that we should always go with the lowest cost provider. And I don't think that's always true. If I'm going in to have brain surgery, I'm not sure I'm going to select my surgeon based on price, right? Because your brain's kind of important, I'm just going to say. So let's think about this. What could you possibly do? Here's what I'd like for you to do. And it's real simple. This is a really quick hit for you today. I want you to start building your proposals to have multiple layers. Now, you can check and see how we did this on our website at www.ideacharger.com/services. You'll be able to go out there and see how we've done this. Okay. And if you go out to the page, you'll notice the first thing that we throw up there is something free, right? It's this podcast. So you're already there. It's how do I get value? How can I get something of value from Cooksey or from the Idea Charger team that doesn't cost me anything? And I put this podcast together just for you, because for some of you, this is all you need. Okay. I don't mind putting this out into the world. You just need a little bit of encouragement. You want a new perspective, a new way to look at things, and I am more than happy to provide that to you at no charge. I've made the pledge before, and it stays true. This podcast will always be free. But I am starting to get interest from people who listen to the show that say, Scott, I hear what you're talking about, and I think there's more there. And you're right, because I do this a lot. And I've worked with a lot of companies and a lot of individuals, and many times, if we can get more specific about your business and what's going on in your world, we can get you actual results. So people are asking me, Scott, how can you do that? Well, I run a business, right? As much as I want to help people, I give the free stuff out on the podcast. Okay. Occasionally, I'm able to put together some articles. I may push those out and put those up on the website under the articles and blog posts that go up on the website. But then there's the people that say, well, I want to go a little bit deeper. And there's a lot of things that we can do. Unfortunately, though, they take more time. I say unfortunately because that means that I can't just give that away to everybody because, hey, I got bills to pay too. So what do? Well, I look at what's the best way. How does a client get the most bang for the buck in working with me, for example, right? So I would say, well, we first need to get to know yourself, which means there's probably some tools that we need to use to get in there and do some research-based work to identify who you are, what makes you tick, how you think, how you behave in certain situations. And then we've got to get to know your business and put that in the context of what you do every day, right? I need to understand that. So I know what have you tried? What have you not tried? What's working? What are you trying to accomplish? And those things take some time. We've got to work through those and really think about it. And then I want to challenge you, because what I'll probably do first is I'll want to say, look, it's real easy to show up, go to a workshop for a day and think that all your problems will be solved. The reality is they won't. As much as I would love for that to happen, if I just come speak one time to your organization, it could be good. It could spawn some dialogue. But if there's nothing that forces you to take action beyond that point, it may not actually change anything in terms of the behavior of the people that hear that message. You see where I'm going with this? So to get the most bang for the buck, I'd like to come in and work with you, either individually or maybe come in and work with your team. So, sales managers, team leaders, project leaders. If your company's going through a merger or an acquisition phase and you want to get your teams communicating more effectively faster, give me a call. I can help you with that. But we're going to need to do a couple of things. And the first part is I need to come in and sit down and work with you. Now, to get the most out of that, I also want to schedule some follow-ups, which means that once a week, once a month, for some period of time, we're going to get together at intervals that are appropriate for your team and follow up. Because I can sit here all day easily and talk about what you ought to do and why you should do it. The hard part, though, is for you to figure out how. How do you apply all this stuff? You may be smart enough to figure it out on your own. If that's the case, listen to the podcast, come hear me speak somewhere once, That's probably all you need. But many people want and crave more. So what have I done? I've put together a few packages. Number one, can you hire me to come in and speak? Absolutely. If you look at the section on my website where it asks about, have Scott come speak, there's some topics that I would talk about. I'm happy to do that. I'll show up at your event, come to your workplace, come speak at your conference. That's great. It's good business. I'm happy to do it. And you know what? I'll help you steer a conversation in a different direction. And as long as other people in your organization are willing to keep those thoughts alive, you'll see some good from that. What I want to see, though, is that opportunity to follow back up. So if you'll notice the way I've structured my packages, I've changed the conversation, and I want you to do the same thing. I've changed it from, do we want to hire Scott to come speak or come work with our people, or do I want to hire him individually? Or maybe you're looking at it saying, hey, I don't know if I can really afford the opportunity to work with Scott. Maybe today the podcast is what you can afford. Okay, then start applying some tips. I try to give you something every single week that you can apply right away that will make your business better. And I hope you will. And if that's what you can do for now, do that, because at least you're doing something. Then if you want to take the next step, I have a full package. If you want the best deal in working with me, I've bundled a lot of my services together with a single price tag, discounted that down if you'll buy the whole enchilada, and we put it there. Now, okay, I hear you. There are some of you listening to this going, Cooksey, don't give me the pitch. And I'm with you. I read it loud and clear. When we did our survey a few months back, many of you said, look, I want information I can use without the pitch. I'm only sharing this example, okay, as a way to illustrate a point, because it's how I've taken my service-oriented business and I've done what I call the 3-layer approach. And I want you to do the same thing as it's relevant for your business. Okay? Now, if you're not in a sales role, do you ever have to pitch an idea? Do you ever have to share or convince somebody of anything? You can use the same thing. Okay? Option 1, we can do it your way. Option 2, we can do it my way. Option 3, we can come to an agreement that blends the best of both of our approaches. Now you've got a 3-pronged approach. You change the energy from I win, you win to we win. Got it? The same thing happens if it's sales. Hey, you want the whole enchilada? You want to make the most change and you want to condense that down and do it in 6 weeks or 6 months? I am more than happy to do that. And we'll make the commitment and we sign it up and we schedule it on the calendar. We'll make that happen. On the other hand, you may say, well, gee, Scott, I'm looking at this. I've got to pay this out of my own pocket, because I know that some of my listeners want to work with me. They want me to coach them a little bit. They want to work together. I've made packages for that too. You want a one-time? Okay, that'll help you some, but you're going to pay a premium for it. You want to get the most bang for the buck? Let's get a whole package. Why? Because it holds you accountable. It makes it a better deal for everybody, and you're more likely to get results. One and done just doesn't work in corporate training. It never has, and it never will. I've changed the discussion. You can put together your own packages. You can look at the way it's all in my website and put it all together and say, well, today I'll buy this piece, that I'll buy the other. By the way, I even made it easier. You know those infomercials you see on TV? You know, hey, for 3 easy payments and you can have this. I know it sounds kind of corny, but you know what? If, like me, you ever had to dip into your own pocket for professional development, you might appreciate this. It may be tough to swallow that pill, that one big charge, but you don't mind splitting that up over 3 payments and knowing you're going to get benefit for 6 months. So I make it easy for you to do that too. And you can do the same thing in your business. When I was in the financial services business, I had clients that would come in and they just wanted to pay the commission one time up front, get it over with, be done, and move on down the road. Now, I still had the obligation to work with them, to help monitor their accounts, make sure that their investments were still prudent. And I took that upon myself to make sure that we were doing the right things for their business, for their success, for their investments. And I was doing it in a way that was sensitive to how much time I needed to spend with each individual client. But I found that my bigger clients needed something different. My bigger clients needed advice. And I never wanted my client to wonder, is he calling me to generate results because he needs income and he wants to generate a commission? Or is he really calling me because I need to do something for me? And I switched for my bigger clients. I moved them into a different arrangement where they paid me a fee based on the value of their account. They were paying for the relationship. Every time I called and said, hey, we need to take a look at your account, I think we need to make some changes, it was never, and they knew it was never, because I was trying to generate a commission. They were going to pay me a fee. They had the expectation that I would continue to deliver them great service, which I did quite successfully. So that didn't fit for all of my clients, but for my clients that wanted a higher level of service, I asked myself, could I change the way they pay me to get the objections out of the way so they'd really listen to my advice? And what I found is the clients really liked that because it aligned our interests on the same side of the table. So maybe you can restructure something like that in your own business. So that's what I've got. Don't shoot yourself in the foot with the ability of your prospect to say yes or no. Give them a 3-layered approach so that it's not if they do business with you, but how. That's what I've got for this week, Success Chargers. We'll see you again next week. Get out there, get it done. Let's finish 2015 strong. If you enjoyed what you just heard, please post your 5-star review and subscribe to Success Charger today. Your future